'Twas the night before Christmas, silent with no moans, no electronic was running, not even a phone. The stockings were hung by the oven with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were restless, not knowing what to do, while visions of video games called to them too. And Mama in her slippers and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out of the lawn a scream or two rose, I sprang from the bed to see what they would show. Away to the door I ran with pure glee, turned open the knob and saw a Christmas tree. Every neighbor and parent were standing in snow, waiting in front of a Christmas-like glow, and my friend stood. Proudly he exclaims, "Take a breath, for now we have video games." Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another FrameGame. Just so you know, I have already recorded 2 of these Holiday Extravaganza Review List videos, so if you missed out on Spider-Man or Spyro Reignited trilogies, go ahead and check it out in the description below. Anyways, today we'll be reviewing Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu for the Nintendo Switch. Now in this video, I'll be looking at graphics, audio, gameplay, and overall experience. So without further ado, let's dive right into the graphics. This category, I will say, surprised me since some of the latest Pokemon games I'd played were from the good old days. That's right, one of the major games I played most recently was Pokemon Silver. Because of this, I was jaw-dropped to see just how nice the game looked in a high-res, bright-colored, and well-shaded environment. The visuals pop, making it both pleasant to look at, but also clear as to what it was I was looking at in the first place. Also, the design of the character was nice and slick, including the design of other characters seen in previous games. Naturally, Professor Oak is here, but we also have Blue, Brock, and Misty from the older games. Their character designs are all very slick, and the creators made sure to stay true with the original designs. Along with this, not only did they do well with creating the 3D models of the Pokemon, but they also went above and beyond with their creations as well. During an attempt at catching a Pokemon, for example, they each have different styles of idle motions as well as attack motions. Sometimes they can even deflect your ball or move around to try to avoid it. These animations were a very nice touch, and some Pokemon even show emotion on their faces. Jigglypuff even gets mad at you when attempting to catch the Pokemon, as the Pokemon does when everyone falls asleep in the anime. So overall, I am going to give the graphics a 5 out of 5 slimes. Everything here looks and feels like Pokemon, and even someone who entered it from an early perspective was still able to appreciate and enjoy what they did with the game. With the graphics out of the way, let's move on to the audio. The audio in this game is just as great as I was hoping it would be. Not only are the sound effects very solid when it comes to battles and Pokemon, but the music is very reminiscent and yet different from the original soundtrack. The music is robust, not afraid to improve upon the previous renditions, but still keeping homage to its predecessors. The songs also set a good mood and strong setting for each and every area you enter. The caves are just as whimsical as I remember, and Lavender Town is just as off-putting and strange. The sound effects also contribute strongly to this category. Each Pokemon makes its own unique and specialized sounds, making them feel like actual creatures while you attempt to catch them. Also, the effects of healing your Pokemon is just as satisfying and catchy as I remember. I also really like the sound effects when it comes to moves in Pokemon battles. They still feel solid, robust, and overall impactful, making the battles feel just as intense as the older games. I also got the opportunity to trade Pokemon with my sister, thus I got to hear the trading music and sound effects that come with that. All in all, the effects and music were very well done. They felt precise, but not afraid to slightly differ from the original games. However, even with the differences, they still feel and scream Pokemon whenever I hear them. That is why I am going to give the audio a 5 out of 5 slimes. I found each and every sound not only to have purpose, but to solidify the overall Pokemon experience as a whole. With this being said, let's move forward towards the gameplay. Now, I am going to make a quote-unquote disclaimer here. I am well aware that this game was specifically designed for newcomers to Pokemon. I know that the initial purpose was to take those players who enjoyed Pokemon Go and try to rope them into more complex console games. However, even with this being said, there were still some gameplay aspects that I simply don't understand. But before getting into these, let's talk about the overall gameplay as a whole. In terms of catching, I found this aspect to be rather enjoyable. I liked not having to stop every 2 seconds to end up in another random encounter. But I also enjoy the concept of increasing your overall catch combo. This made capturing Pokemon more worthwhile and increased my desire to eventually catch them all. On top of this, I also enjoyed that Pokemon populate in the world. This feature allowed me to more easily avoid Pokemon encounters while going between towns. This was nice early on when I didn't have the ability to fly to any other locations I had previously visited. Sometimes I would want to travel back after a tough fight in order to heal my team, so the ability to avoid and evade Pokemon made things less annoying and more convenient. Many people will probably complain about how easy this makes certain situations, but at the same time, who hasn't gotten frustrated and yelled, "Not another Pidgey!" Sometimes even small details like this can make a game more bearable at times. Along with this, we have the battle system as well. It was interesting to see how they incorporated the concept that trainers not only pay you for winning, but also give you Pokeballs. This was a nice addition with the overall combo catch concept, or the Triple C for short. However, they didn't really add much to the battle system. Everything worked and felt the same as they did with the previous games. This isn't a bad thing, however, as it still worked with the overall game as a whole. Thus, the battle system in the end still nailed it. It's just as fun as it used to be, and the more detailed Pokemon make the fights more enjoyable to witness. Now for the nitpicking. The first thing on my list to address is the text boxes. In some instances, I noticed that it takes a long time to proceed after either selecting an option during a battle or trying to continue a conversation. It feels as if the game just stops for a second, and part of me expects it to suddenly crash. I choose an attack move during a battle, and then I have to wait 30 seconds sometimes for the game to register my choice in attack moves. I don't understand why this takes so long. I mean, we're not only talking about a console that can handle Breath of the Wild, but it also handles Skyrim as well. If this system can handle these environments with nearly no frame drops, then why can't it register my attack move more quickly? I understand this game is meant to be more slow-paced as to help ease people into the game, but even people who usually don't do a lot of gaming have commented on these situations. It feels very strange and disjointed at times, making me disconnect from the immersion, if you will. On top of this, the local co-op is just broken. Honestly, the game would have been better off if they made the co-op system work online so that I, as a player, could still walk around the world wherever I want. The game seems to have this invisible tether on the second player, making it so that if you fall off screen, the whole game pauses, then teleports you back into position. This can prove to be very annoying as it's rather easy to get left behind from the main player. Thus, expect your game to literally freeze every few minutes from this. On top of this, the player is completely restricted on what they can do. Want to enter that building that your friend currently isn't at? Too bad for you, because your character doesn't know how to work a doorknob. Want to try and catch a Pokemon that spawned near you? Once again, that's too bad, because the game decided the second player can't initiate such things. It was very disappointing because I no longer felt as though I was playing a game with another person. At that point, I felt as though I was on a tour of the game while the main player dragged me around the world. Aside from this, Pokemon battles with local co-op is literally cheating. Enter a gym where the gym leader only sends out one Pokemon at a time? Well, in that case, just have your imaginary friend send out the second Pokemon to absolutely double team the single battle. It felt so unbalanced, it was ridiculous. I understand that Nintendo wanted to ease people in, but I don't see why Brock couldn't just be programmed to send out an Onix along with the Geodude when a second player is in the game. It would have made a lot more sense, and it would still be rather easy anyways, since you can catch 6 Pokemon while he can still only have 2. Also, double battles are already programmed in the game. The first one you see is against Jesse and James of Team Rocket. Either way, it seemed like a seriously missed opportunity. So overall, with the botched multiplayer system, but everything else working at optimal settings, I will be giving this category a 3.5 out of 5 slimes. The game itself is still a lot of fun, but the execution in some aspects was questionable even to newcomers. Now that we've completed the gameplay, let's move on to the overall experience. The overall experience was all in all a lot of fun. I enjoyed being able to trade with friends, and I liked the concept of exclusive Pokemon being within each different version of the game. It made trying to trade with someone much more worthwhile than in previous installments of Pokemon. I also enjoyed how the overall audio, graphics, and gameplay melded together to make it feel as good as the previous Pokemon games. However, there were still some major drawbacks and questionable decisions made on behalf of catering to everyone. These decisions also didn't make sense even to people who are new to the franchise. Also, they didn't really innovate on most aspects of the game, thus it felt nearly identical to some of the originals. I get that this was the idea, but I still feel that some parts of the game would have benefited from slight improvements. That's why for my overall rating, I will be giving this game a 4 out of 5 slimes. It was really close to being a perfect score, but due to the company's lack of judgment, I felt I had no choice but to take some points away. Either way, it's still rated high for me, and I would recommend the buy for trading of Pokemon as well as solo play. But if you're getting it only for the local co-op aspect, I'd say it's not worth your money. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to keep an eye out for the rest of my Holiday Extravaganza review list.